We go from this, I mean, everybody's on the same page that we've got some inflation in front of our eyes right now, but we went from a situation where we were watching the supply chain impacts, I would say, for much of last year. We come into this year with the reality check, and now it feels that language is starting to change again about whether or not we should really be buying into an extremely hawkish central bank strategy if some of this inflation doesn't last. So how are you thinking about tomorrow's data point?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me. I mean, I do think it is pivotal in terms of the question of will the Fed, implement or announce a 50 basis point rate hike. I certainly think that there's a level of inflation that could come out in tomorrow's report that will make that probability much more likely. But ultimately, we don't think that that will be the outcome. We actually think that inflation can moderate a little bit, or that did moderate a little bit, and will be reflected in that report. For the United States, you have to keep in mind, and I think people are forgetting about this, is that a lot of the acceleration, or most of the acceleration in inflation that happened in the fourth quarter, back up to 5% on an annualized basis, was really the result of this story of auto inflation. In particular, we had a hurricane which resulted in a lot of damage in autos, and so that really lifted used car prices into the end of the year. And so we expect that kind of demand that's relatively price inelastic to really come off starting in January. And it does look like industry level data that we look at, is suggesting that. So we think we will get some moderation. Ultimately, we think the Fed won't go 50 basis points, but certainly consecutive meetings starting in March. So hiking in, March, May, and then maybe even June as a possibility. But overall, I think it's still reasonable to price in some moderation in inflation here, just as these, as you suggested, supply related factors and other sort of factors kind of start to fade.